Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will and Willpower Astrology, and we're talking about our North Node series. So this is North Node in Pisces. This video is if you have North Node in Pisces in your birth chart. So real quick recap, the lunar nodes are the place where the moon's orbit crosses the Earth's orbit around the sun. So the North Node is where the moon crosses the Earth in front, and the South Node is where it crosses in back, okay? So as the Earth is going around the sun, all the planets are going around the sun, they all move in a direction because we're going in this way and the angle of it. The North Node goes backwards. So we're currently, it's August of 2022, we're currently North Node in Taurus. So the North Node is going backwards. Mars and Uranus are going slowly forwards, and the North Node, we just interacted with this end of July, beginning of August. North Node, and then the North Node is going to go backwards up into Aries and then into Pisces. So anyways, that's why we're going backwards in this order. We're starting with Taurus, what we're in now, and we're going backwards through Pisces. So anyways, in ancient times, they called the North and South Node like the head and tail of the dragon. Sometimes it'll, I think in like Eastern or Vedic astrology, I think they call it Rahu and Ketu. So like what it means is the head of the dragon is where we're headed, and the tail of the dragon is where we're coming from. And it's this, perpetual loop of eating its own tail. So what are we talking about today? So I'm going to just say my approach to making these videos in this way has been very North Node in Pisces. I've taken very little notes. I just got on and started talking one day, and then the other one I made, I'm like, I'm just going to talk for 20 minutes again, and then now that's what I'm doing again. So I'm trying to be very on brand with North Node in Pisces with this project, and just being going with the flow and learning how to go with the flow. And that's kind of the path of having the North Node in Pisces in your birth chart. So the North Node represents what we are here to learn in this incarnation. It represents what is outside of our comfort zone, and it represents what we need to learn to unlock our own enlightenment or next step or whatever, evolution. So what we're born with into this incarnation is a very strong inclination towards the qualities of the South Node. So when we come into this life, we have this preponderance, this just kind of knack for the qualities and abilities that are in the South Node. So when you have a North Node in Pisces, you have a South Node in Virgo. So you're coming into this life with the qualities of Virgo energy very much intact. Because they're opposite each other, they're both mutable signs, which means that they both possess the qualities of the previous cardinal and fixed signs, right? So Pisces is a mix of both Capricorn and Aquarius. Capricorn, which is for lack of a better term, outgoing, and then Aquarius, which is more internal or come hither. Pisces can kind of go either way. And just the same as Virgo is a mixture of outgoing Cancer and more reserved Leo, Virgo can also kind of go both ways, but they have a difference in energy. So whereas in Pisces, it's a water sign. In Virgo, what we have in this life are the qualities of earth signs, and specifically Virgo. So Virgo energy is associated with the sixth house of work and habits and daily routines. The sixth house is all about how we do what we do. So I think of Virgo in terms of the overall progression of earth signs. Taurus is the first earth sign, and I think of that as like, I created a brick, and here's a physical object that I made with my hands, blue. And then Virgo is how I made that brick. That's how I did these ingredients. That's how I put the thing together. That's how I made more bricks, and that's how I'm distributing them. Virgo's how you do what you do, right? And then the next step of Capricorn is then like the reason that you're doing what you're doing. It's for the legacy. I'm taking these bricks and I'm building a castle. I'm taking these bricks and I'm building my career. I'm taking these bricks and I'm building my family. You know what I mean? So it's the progression of like tangible, what we do with our hands, what we do with our actions. The earth signs are less about words, and they're less about feelings, and it's not so much about like a logic. It's about what you do. So you either do it or you don't. Do you know what I mean? Earth signs are very that way. You either do it or you don't. It's cut and dry. Your intention kind of doesn't matter with earth signs. And for this reason, because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, just as Gemini is, Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury, but Gemini is the air expression or the logical expression, the thinking, talking expression. And Virgo is about systems, how you do what you do, and getting it done. It's not so much about communication that way. It's about a longer form of communication. It's about real changes or real engagement with systems, engagement with your own system. You know what I mean? So Virgo is the virgin, which isn't necessarily like, oh, I've never had sex. But what it means is in the ancient times is this person that was like, I might be, they're whole unto themselves. So like, it's like extra virgin olive oil. It's just so, it hasn't been used for these other purposes. It's been this priest that's been, you know, in this like the Vestal virgins, the Hestian virgins, like they're like priests and priestesses or whatever. They were spiritual mediums. I don't know what, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so what that also means is with Mercury being very particular to detail and being this virgin whole unto themselves, Virgo being an earth sign, being the mutable earth sign, it's like a filter. So Virgo is the sign of discrimination. It's where we say yes and no. It's where we go, that's not it. Yes, that's it. Da 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 da. And it has to do with integration of our own self. Houses 1 through 6 and signs like Aries through Virgo are all about development of the self and how I do what I do. And then the other signs are how Libra through Pisces, the 7th house through the 12th house, that's how we interact with the world. So Virgo is taking all of the qualities that we've been developing since our birth, and now we have to engage with the world. We have to engage with other people. So this is how I do what I do. And then from Virgo in the 6th house, we take it to Libra in the 7th house, to you. To this is how I do what I do. Now I'm going to put this on the scale, and now we measure with each other. Does that make sense? So by the 6th house in Virgo, how we do what we do is not necessarily having to do with anybody else yet. Does that make sense? It's the integration of ourselves from our birth, from our early learning, Gemini, you know, from our emotional later development of Cancer and Leo. Like this is like, now I'm a person, now I'm this whole like adult ass person, and now I have to go out in the world, and this is how I do what I do. So that's the 6th house, and that's Virgo. So that's why Virgo can also be very, I don't like Virgo, persnickety. You know what I mean? Virgo is very attentive to the details. And if you're not following the details, then what are you doing? You need to get with the program. So if you have South Node in Virgo, you have a very particular eye for detail. And you have a very particular eye for like knowing when stuff is getting done and when it's not, and who's doing it and who's not, and this and that and the other. So you probably are a super organized person. You probably have your shit like you probably love making lists and shit. You probably love, you know, itineraries when you go on vacation. Like that type of stuff. Like, I don't know what, like college courses, like probably sat there and did a class calendar for like 90 different versions of your fall semester when you were in college. I'm trying to, that sounds all derogatory. There's a lot of really good things that come along with it too. You probably are you have very high standards. Do you know what I mean? You like to have what the best version of things are. Virgos have a taste for the finer things in life, but it's because of this refined taste. It's this refined kind of, they know what's good and what's just okay, right? So when you have the South Node in Virgo, you have this inherent like, bitch, please. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need you to get on my level type of energy. And it can be very dismissive sometimes. It can be very like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. So, what else? I'm making this sound, I feel like I'm making this sound really bad. It's it's just, I guess, my persnickety mood this morning. I'm trying to think, like, oh, let's look at the dates really quick. Let's look at the dates. I did look these up and I have them written down in my notebook. So the next one coming up is January of 25 to July of 26. So we have a couple years until we're back into this energy. The previous one this one was weird because it went retrograde for a couple days. So literally there's 2 days where it went into Capricorn, or went into Aquarius for a couple days, and then it went back in. Anyway, so from June 22nd of 06 to December 14th of 07. And then from December 15th to December 18th of 07. So there's like a couple of hours in there. There's a really weird little like blip of inconsistency because the lunar nodes and like the orbit of the moon is actually not just like a perfect circle and not consistent. There's like constant little wobbles. And so while the moon's nodes are retrograding all the time, there can be little blips of like boop, boop. So there for a couple of hours on the 14th and 15th, you might have the North Node in Aquarius. You might, be the very first North Node Aquarians. Anyway, so if you're born in 06 and it's 22 now, you're like 14. That's wild. That's so wild to me. Okay. Also, I'm old. So anyways, millennial people that have this placement is from December 1st of 87 to May 22nd of 89. This is the baby boomers. It doesn't seem to have a Gen X version of this. April 19th of 69 to November 2nd of 70, like the tail end of the boomers. So there's 2 boomer incarnations of this. That's wild. July 26th of 50 to March 28th of 52. And then go back to the 30s, it's December 27th of 31 to June 24th of 33. And then back in the aughts, the old aughts, it's June 15th of 13 to December 3rd of 14. So if you have those dates, I'm talking about you. If you're still listening to this 13 minutes in. Anyway. So we're coming from a past life of being very comfortable and being very organized, being very, very efficient, and probably in lots of situations where we're called on to do that. That could be like you had to clean up after people's messes, or you had to grow up in an environment that was very strict, like like a military kid or something like that. Something where you had to grow up in a way that was very detailed in that way, or you had to be held to these very strict measures. So what does this mean if you have the North Node in Pisces? So this is probably, to me, one of the most confusing placements to have, because there's really not an answer. We're going away from detail-oriented existence to kind of just like, whatever's the flow. So whereas Virgo is very like, it's like zoomed in. It's like down to the tiniest little detail. When it comes to Pisces, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it's kind of the ocean. It's where we dissolve back into the waters, we dissolve back into the sand, we dissolve back into the waves. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna die, we're gonna rot, like all that type of stuff has to do with the 12 houses, is endings and like that new birth of that new cycle. Because out of that, the rotting of our corpse, the rotting of that tree that falls in the woods, that new mushrooms are going to come up out of the ground. A new tree is going to come up out of it's that Aries energy that's going to push new stuff to grow is going to come out. So Pisces energy is really associated with the 12th house, which, as opposed to our daily routines and habits, it has to do with our connection to the universe and our connection to kind of the collective consciousness. So in traditional astrology, they talk about Pisces in the 12th house being like the house of hidden horrors. It's the house of kind of psychological sub psyche influences, like stuff that's coming up from under that you don't really have, you can't see it. And I think that what it is that it's more just like we're tuned into everything else around us, right? We're not just our own crab on the beach. We're in a school of fish. So we're all moving together. And if somebody else flips their tail a little bit, we're going, what was that? I felt that current. I felt that energy. If there's a storm or a tidal wave, we're going to get caught up in that too. So like you're learning how to go away from, in this incarnation, like facts and data and like I have to know the answer and I have to have a list and I have to have a checkoff and I have to You're not here to kind of go by that detailed of a clock and a schedule. You're here to learn how to like wash away and just go, whatever's going to be is going to be. So you're going to be confronted with a lot of emotional energy from other people. And I think that when you're looking at the water signs, Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, in which it's a piece of all the other zodiac signs because we're all washed away into that. So all Pisces people have a little bit of pieces of all the other signs of the zodiac. I think Alyssa Sharp, that I follow a lot, talks about and jokes about Pisces kind of being the dumpster of the zodiac because it's just like all the stuff that is left over, it gets put in. So there's, when you're dealing with Pisces heavy energy people, dealing with Pisces heavy energy people, they could be really fiery like a Leo. They could be really dainty like a Taurus. They could be really like, you know what I mean? They could be really out there and creative like an Aquarius. They can do all of these because they're the whole ocean. They're the currents, they're the water and the air. So like I was talking about the progression of the earth signs, to me the progression of the water signs is that we start off with the first sign of water, Cancer, which is the moon, right? It's the tide, it's the waves, it's the high and low tide. It's the storms, it's like the riding the it's the rivers and lakes, it's the movement of the water and how the moon like really pulls those waves and all that kind of stuff. And it's our emotions, right? Cancer is about your subjective feeling and your experience. And then when we get into Scorpio is more like a submerged cavern and things crystallize. Caves, just dripping water, and that like the minerals in the water build up these stalactites and stalagmites, and you have these inner pressure that pushes stuff into a diamond or whatever. You know what I mean? And the magma under the earth's core, like pressurizing things. That's the energy of Scorpio, where that water merges and be like two become one. This is where we join with other people. And you can't hold hands with like loose water. You have to like crystallize and join energy with people a little bit. So then Pisces is the whole ocean. It's the deep part of the ocean that we've never seen. It's the waves on top. It's the atmosphere of the air, the moisture in the air. So Pisces is very vibey to other people and very vibey to like just what's out there. Pisces can be very emotional. It's like you're just constantly getting information from people around you that like, whoa, this person is emotional in this way, and whoa, this person is emotional in that way, and whoa, this person is having this kind of emotional reaction. And the thing is that you might not at first realize that you're experiencing other people's emotions like that because it seems foreign. You're more like, I want the details and then this and that, but you're here to kind of like experience these currents and experience these other kind of non-verbal ways of being. So a big part of the thing is, whereas Virgo is ruled by Mercury and facts and data or whatever, Pisces is ruled by traditionally Jupiter, which is expansion. And currently in the modern aesthetic of astrology, it's ruled by Neptune, which is dissolving and boundaryless borders. You know, we're just all connected to the same shit. So Pisces can be hugely psychic. Pisces can be hugely intuitive and hugely like perceptive and compassionate and kind of, but they also can be a sponge. They can just soak up everything around them without that Virgo refinement, without that Virgo discrimination. They can soak up all the shit that's around them without knowing that all they're soaking up is this person's shitty day and this person's projected issues. You know what I mean? So the lesson for a North Node in Pisces is to learn the lessons of the South Node in Virgo, which is, be organized and have your shit on time. But to know that when the schedule gets off, that's just fine. We're just going to go with the flow. We don't have to follow this itinerary to the letter. Or if the detail in the project changes, we're not going to get caught up on we're just going to go, okay, we're going to be water. We're going to flow this way. And this is the way we need to go now. You know what I mean? So I don't know how to say this because it's not, it's not about, I'm not going to trust myself. I'm just going to trust whatever's going on around me. It's having the discernment that that you have to then go, what's this new information around me and how can I Does that make sense? And also there's this kind of caveat because the 12th house in Pisces is always talked about as like, if you're not going to be of service, then you're going to suffer. But you're coming from a past incarnation of Virgo ruled service. You were the one that had to be working every night to support the kids in a past life. You were the one that had to work, grow rice all day to feed the community. I don't know what. I'm just making, you know what I mean? But now you can take those skills and go outward with it. Pisces, more than any other sign, has the ability to reshape their reality. Pisces people will just change their life like that. Pisces people will just be like, now I'm going to be on Broadway. And they go do it. And they go do it because they believe that reality enough and they go swim toward it and they make it happen. Other signs are like, I don't know. Pisces make shit happen. So you're here in this incarnation to get away from worrying about the details and get into what manifesting really is, which is going, I'm going to feel this, I'm going to feel that. I'm going to stay away from that wave. I'm going to swim towards this wave. And it's through your natural perception, your natural refinement, your natural kind of ability to be critical and use critical thinking and details to go, okay, well, I've done all I can do and now I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to float, I'm just going to see where this tide takes me. And I think that's why this is one of the most confusing North Node signs, is because it's kind of like, well, just don't worry about it. You know what I mean? When you try hard, that's when you die hard, So, yeah. You're just going to have to learn how to go with the flow. You're going to have to learn how to trust what's going on around you. Trust the vibration of the people around you and not necessarily feel like you have to do everything by yourself all the time. And bloop, that's your North Node in Pisces.